these are the XOP V2 Sticks. I have these heavily modified. I'm going to show you what I did to them, and I'm going to explain why. I'm going to kind of go through this rather quickly. On this video, you're going to see some of the process on how I processed these and made them into what you are seeing right now. It is just cold enough for me to have this sweatshirt on, but not quite cold enough to wear a hat. And it's getting green out. So let's take a look at these. Okay, when you look at my sticks, they're in the full, 4 of them put together. And I attached a rather large heavy-duty bungee that I bought a bunch of off of Amazon. All the links to what you want or see on here is going to be available in the show notes description on where I got it from. If you see an Amazon link, I do get a very small kickback from that, so just be aware of that you're benefiting the show if you're purchasing anything. So now that we got that out of the way, I'm going to take this first stick off. So it's just a matter of undoing that bungee that's just over the top part of the stick there, and that first stick's going to come right off. Now, on the bottom stick, I put an aider on there so I can get a little more height on this, and then I also added different kinds of straps to this. So these are Amsteel. I believe these are the USA, but not the USA Plus on this one, but just the USA straps to attach it to the tree. So I'll show you that later, but there's the strap right there. It's actually fantastic. Works really well, but super light. Like there's nothing to it. And then I have this aider on there. So this 15-inch aider is going to get me a little more distance on that tree. So there's the bottom of the aider. On the end of that aider, I put another piece of that bungee so I can strap it on and attach it there. On the very top, I have a little piece of basically heavy-duty line on there so I can actually attach it to my saddle while I'm climbing. So it's going to just attach to the side just like that. As I'm going up the tree, I just peel it off, stick it on, climb up, go to the next one, repeat the process, of course, while safetied in the whole time. Now, what else did I modify on these? These are completely stealth stripped, minus cutouts where I attached them together. Put these side by side. I took those pieces off. My nephew still uses those and really likes them, but I removed those off of these. We're going to see how he does that with stealth strips a little later because I'm not sure. Then I also camouflage these. I'm going to show you a picture right now of what these looked like when they weren't camouflaged on a tree. I killed a deer using these sticks during the late season in January of 2024. I almost said 2025, but 2024. The deer didn't care. But what I'm worried about, because I hunt a bunch of public land, I don't want people to see this. So this is the camouflage look of the sticks. And this is what the back of these look like. Now, that doesn't look like much, but look at that picture I'm showing you right now. That's what those look like. So this camouflage pattern that I put on is really easy. I make my own stencil, and then I just use some of that matte flat camouflage, and it really works well on there. So I've got these paired up with a Lone Wolf's custom platform that I use, and this is the platform that I'm using. I am not a saddle expert, so don't expect anything. You guys are going to see me on this saddle journey in the next couple years. I started off with Lone Wolf just sticks, and then my nephew showed me those V2s, and I absolutely love those. The Lone Wolves were the originals, so they're kind of what started the whole thing. But then I got this guy last year, and I got the saddle, and I got the stuff. It's been fantastic, and it's been fun. I am so looking forward to this season. On this particular platform, I did modify it slightly. This is an up-camming platform, so it's a little bit different the way it cams. It cams going up, but that's kind of irrelevant. I did put on a USA Plus on this one. This is a USA Plus Amsteel, a little thicker, made for the platform on here. Not totally sold on that yet, but it is pretty nice. So anyways, that is the gear and the setup I'm using, and it should be kind of fun to play with. But platform is beautiful. The V2 sticks are beautiful. Boy, they work great. All right, so before I get into the actual stealth stripping of the V2 sticks, I figure I better tell you guys what the actual stealth strips are in case you don't know. According to the Stealth Strip website, they are simply not just tape. They are the perfect stealth tape you need to silence and conceal your hunting gear. I actually prefer the color that is on there right now. It's called True Timber Sparta. I think it blends in really well with the actual tree itself, and it's kind of like it almost looks like a Sitka gear camo pattern, but it's like a generic one. So we're going to call it generic Sitka, but it's True Timber Sparta. You go to their website, then you go over to the other stick section and sizes, and you end up clicking on the V2 part, and you will find it. So that is the actual information on stealth strips themselves. All right, let's take a look. Apparently you need a really crappy pliers from Tool Shop. You need a utility blade here, so this one is brand new blade on there, so nice and sharp. You need an Allen wrench. I'll have the size in the show notes, but you need an Allen wrench to get off one of the attachment points on there. And then you need 2 wrenches. I only show one size on here. I'll have the size of the second one in the show notes as well. This one's a 1/2 inch, so have a 1/2 inch wrench with you. I would also recommend putting them on some cardboard. These things cut the hell out of everything. Let's start this mission. I hope all of you enjoyed my sense of humor with that Mission Impossible music, because we were on a mission. Here we are. We actually are working with our stealth strip now. We're peeling that off. It is a little hard to get started, so I actually recommend keeping some fingernails when you go to do this project, or use a knife to get it going. But once you get it peeled, it is super, super tacky, but it does have beautiful little guidelines on there. Try not to stick it on the cardboard. And then all you're going to end up doing is peeling off the rest of the the backing that's on there first, obviously. And then you're going to end up laying that that piece right on the actual stealth strip itself. I didn't bother taking off any of the warning labels that they put on there. XOP does. You just kind of line it up, use some. I usually did about 4 or 5 sticker lengths down. So when those little vertical or horizontal lines that are on there, I did 4 or 5 of those. I can't remember exactly. And you just press it in and then push it down firmly, turn the actual tube itself, press it back down. I actually fold over that strip just to make sure it overlaps right there. And then I'm just pressing it down to make sure it's all stuck real well. As you can see on here, I'm going to be just zipping this on a little faster, but I'm going to repeat this on all levels of that tube. So there I am, turning it and turning it again and pressing it down, and that one is basically done. Now, I removed the end caps of this one that you saw me do in that fast forward video. That really didn't need to happen. So here I am just kind of showing you how many lines down. I indicate 3, so I guess it's 3 lines down. And then we're just going to, again, press that on there real good, turn it, press it on again. In this case, when I did this one, this was a little later. I didn't actually flip that down yet until later. So, I mean, flip it down, but turn it over. You know what I mean when I'm saying this. So this is just the way I did this. It seemed to work pretty good. You don't want to have any left at the end there. It's really not going to ruin anything if you do, but try to avoid that. And then I'm just pressing it down real hard on there so it stays put. So this is just seeing it one more time. I know it's a little redundant. If you need to, pause the video, back it up, look at these things to see how I did it. Now, I'm getting out my other fancy tool. I'm getting out a Sharpie here. Now, this one I left the cap on, but I'm feeling where the holes are, where the mounting hardware goes through. And with a silver Sharpie, I'm simply marking it on there. You could probably use a black Sharpie too. If you press down with your finger while running it along that tube, you will feel where the holes are. And what I'm going to do is I'm coming back with my sharp utility blade, and I'm actually just cutting out a rough square around it, and I'm using that blade to peel that up and off of there. I end up using 2 blades on this project, so you got to kind of go through a couple. So have some extra blades handy. It will make it a little bit easier. And I'm just repeating this process right along here on the whole thing. So here I am on the other side, just making again those same marks all the way along. There's the marks, there's another mark. There it is on the other end. So we got 3 sets of hardware we got to do on here. And then we are actually going to just cut those all out. I think this repeated itself, but you guys get the idea. I mean, no sense seeing this, or no harm in seeing this twice, I guess. But once you do that, you're going to actually just make sure these things are fit on there properly, and they fit right over the actual stealth strip itself. So you don't have to cut a notch in there. And same with the actual step. Again, you don't have to cut the notch out, which is very convenient. So I'm going to actually, at this point, put the cap back on, because this is the very first one I did, and I'm going to cut out the holes like you saw me do earlier. I know this is repeating itself a little bit, but that's how it basically works. I'm going to just lift that out of there, peel that thing out, and boom, I have a hole. Look at that. I have a hole, everybody, a little square hole. You can see that piece off to the upper right. I'm going to just repeat this for all of them. I'm going to speed this up here at this point. All right, so I have this now in 8x speed. It's just going really fast here, but these don't take a lot of time. You're just going to cut those squares out, and then once you're finished, you're just going to simply mount all the hardware back on. Now, if you look on the bottom right of the screen, you see that little kind of square-ish looking piece, the bigger one, not the small cap, but the bigger piece, the one I just picked up there. I am not putting that back on. I'm going to experiment with that later to see if I can do it, but I'm not putting that back on at this point. There I am attaching the strap attachment point back on. I'm going to put back on the legs and everything else here in just a couple seconds, and then my stick will be back together. Disassembly and assembly is very easy with these, so you guys will have 0 problems with this. Just use the tools I have in the show notes and the recommendations for that. Now, if you look at the color of those things, it's that nice tan. Those stick out horrible on the tree. That's why I end up camouflaging those and fixing that later. So that's what we're going to dive into next. Let's watch that, because I just finished this project here. So the actual process of camouflaging these and making the stencil is relatively easy. There's the stencil I have. I'll show you that in a different video on how I made the stencil, but there I am just adding some of the Rust-Oleum flat camouflage paint on there. I just use very small amounts of it, and it works extremely well. You'll see the final results on there. But I'm just folding that over. Right now I'm using the green on all of them, but then eventually you'll see as this speeds up here on the video that I'm showing now, I just end up using just multicolors on this, and it works out extremely well. It goes very fast. There's the aider. I didn't bother removing any of the hardware on there. Now, if you look at the top of each one of the steps on there and the very bottoms, I did end up cutting out little notches on those. So if you see where that stealth strip is missing on there, I'll put an arrow on the screen so you can see it, but that spot is so the sticks connect to each other. So the bottom, like the lift-offs that connect to the tree, those actually allow the stick to connect to the other stick. So they work very, very well. This was a very easy process, and I'm so pleased with how these things turned out. I don't need to talk this whole time. You guys get the process of what I'm doing, but this worked out very well. Just be sure, like anything else you do this in a well-ventilated area because you're using paint, blah, blah, blah. Use all your safety precautions. I wear some gloves because I don't want to get that on me. It's just latex, but at the same time, you don't want it on you. And let's take a look at those final results. Now, these are the finished ones. The naked ones are on the right there. So I think they turned out rather well. So what are my final thoughts on the V2 Sticks by XOP?
boy, I'd buy these again, no questions asked. These sticks are just fantastic. Not only do you get good value in the sticks, but they also are highly, highly effective. You do these couple of modifications I did to these sticks, and I think you're going to just really enjoy how they work in the field. So get yourself some of those sticks, spend some time in the outdoors, and enjoy yourself. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.